Hello kids, welcome to our YouTube channel. So this channel is basically trying to put their effort in teaching you, the students of the local stream of our government schools, in facing your grade 10 and 11 or your ordinary level examination. So I'm Ms. Aruni. I will be covering your ordinary level business and accounting studies. So let's start our lesson number one, the background of the business. So, what are the learning outcomes? Pute, all your lessons will have a set of learning outcomes, which will be leading the teachers in setting their papers as well as for you to understand what the paper is about or what is the content of the lesson. It is from these parts that the questions will be made. So at first, in the first lesson, you should be able to understand what is business, aims of the business, what are needs and wants and how businesses fulfill them, provide examples of goods providing and service providing businesses, and the factors of production, know the stakeholders and their aims. So, these are the areas that we are trying to cover from our lesson today. So, what is a business? Basically, when you are as kids understand or hear the word business, you might think that it is a massive or a large organization, right? But the truth is different from that. So, the next door auntie near your house, or else the grocery store in front of your house, the mobile meals on wheels, even your internet service providers, all of them, regardless of being small or large, are all called businesses, right? But in our studies, this is what a real business is. That is, we won't be just selling items, we are doing something more. We will be planning businesses, thinking about the profits, leading ourselves towards success. So, that is the primary aim of teaching you business and accounting studies in your grade 11, right? So, for facing your exam, you should understand the real lessons of businesses. So, this is the basic concept of what a business is. Usually, Pute, we call a business as an economic activity which provides goods and services in order to fulfill human needs and wants. So, I have underlined the key terms which you have to know thoroughly. So, businesses are all institutions or organizations which either produce goods or distribute them, as well as those that provide services. So, there's always an activity involved in production or distribution. While we say most businesses are profit aiming, you have to remember that certain businesses exist not only to make profit but also to provide a welfare. So let's go for the need of businesses or how really business came into use. As humans, we always had a set of needs. We needed food, clothes, medicine, and education. So even as kids, or even look at your parents, can they fulfill everything alone? No, we can't. And it is because of that we started to use businesses. So, this is the basic pictorial definition of what a business is. A business is an institution or a set of economic activities that either produce goods or provide services to fulfill human needs and wants as well as get a value. Even though this said business is profit motive or welfare motive, they will definitely get a value. So if a business is trying to get profit, they will have a certain value of money as a certain amount of money as their value. while businesses aiming social welfare will have good name, reputation, goodwill in the market. So that way, both businesses, whether it's profit or non-profit motive, will have a value. And also remember, all businesses as well as people has a relationship. So, what does this means? Though this is not directly asked in your questions, you have to understand it because we are a part of a business and a business is a part of us. As humans, we fulfill our needs and wants through buying the goods and services. And the businesses fulfill their objectives by the money or the market that we have created. So, why do we need to learn about business? As a person who suddenly changed from your usual subjects and selected this subject, you might have felt, why do we really need to study about businesses? The truth is, whether you're a student or a person who's going to enter a field in future, businesses businesses are important for us, Pute, right? They are the main institutions that provide our needs and wants. For example, the food need is catered by them. So you have to know what businesses are. And the knowledge of businesses will be helping us to be successful businessmen or to be a supportive business party. Though you do a business or you don't, you are always a party that can interfere the business. For example, as customers and consumers, we can interfere a business. As the public or the community, our decisions, our choices are able to interfere a business. So because of that, it is a must to know what business really are. And also, when we learn about business and accounting studies, we get the knowledge, the basic knowledge that is required by a manager. So you can improve your management skills, you can have better decision making skills, improve your interpersonal skills, as well as the managerial skills, as I said before. While this subject also improves your job opportunities and widen your knowledge. So, it is of great importance to learn this subject. Then I will go towards the basic concepts. As students, you have to first know these concepts. All these definitions are taken from your textbook, Pute. While the examples are different, which I have made, so feel free to write the definitions and you can create your own example. As long as your example meet the definition, you are able to write a good answer and to do something different, right? So our first concept is business. As we said before, it is an economic activity that manufactures or provides different goods and services in order to fulfill human needs and wants. It can be a salon, it can be a bakehouse, it can be a bookshop, or even a company. So, I hope you understand what a business is. And then, if we talk about buyers or consumers, we say now in our level as students who are studying for your grade 10 and 11 and finally sitting for your GCE O level exam, you use buyer and consumer synonymously. But Pute, there's a difference. That is what I have tried to use or give you an insight here, but you do not need to worry about it. So, a buyer or a consumer is a person who purchases goods or services. They are also the ones that directly demand the products. For example, if it is you who buy the pen, you are both the buyer and the consumer. But imagine your mom going and buying you a frock. At that time, who's the one who consume it? Pavichi karane kavda? That is you. So then the buyer is your mom while the consumer is you. There can be differences like that, but you do not have to worry. Any person who purchases a good or a service and consume it, you can call a buyer or a consumer. And then you will come across the concept or the wording called as seller. A seller is an individual or an entity, we can call it as an organization, who exchange any good or service in return of payment. They will provide all the needs that the business want and help us to invent new products for people, right? So, sellers, for example, the retail shop or the grocery store right in front of your house, or whether it's a super center or a large company that sells you directly, we call them a seller. You may buy a file to your friend by paying money. So if you are the one who's paying money and buy a file from your friend, right? If your friend is selling it and you buy a file from him, the seller becomes who? Your friend is the seller at that moment. And then we come across a few other concepts. Those are needs and wants. Needs, when studying this, you have to remember what you have learned in your civic education in grade 7 and 8 and also 9, right? You have discussed these needs and wants at that time as well. Needs are the basic necessities or things that are essential for humans, right? All the goods and services which are essential are needs. For example, we have primary needs. Those are food, clothing, and shelter, as well as secondary needs, such as healthcare, entertainment, education. You can add up transportation, safety as well. Then we have set of wants. They are the forms of fulfilling the needs. So wants are the driving force of satisfying needs. For every need, we have a set of wants. For example, at this moment, imagine you're hungry. You have the need for food. You may have cake, pasta, pizza, milk, rice, or even rice. That is up to your wish and what you want. The clothing you may wear might be trouser, skirt, frock, denims, crop tops, anything that you prefer. And the educational institute you choose, it can be a private educational institute or else a university or else a school. As long as it satisfies your education need, you will be obtaining the service. When we talk about products, they are items offered for sale. So a product can be a service or a good, right? So you know that goods are in physical form. That is, you can see and touch a good like soap, bread, while products are things that are not visible but are given to you. So now I'm giving you the teaching service. You can touch your laptop or the mobile device you're using, maybe your headphones or the headsets you're using, but you can either touch your teacher or your person who's teaching you, but not the service given. So, those are the key concepts that you have to understand. And now we are walking towards aims of a business. Pute, so remember that these lessons are done as a summary to help you to understand our basics of the lesson. So please remember to go through the lesson once or twice and to get the essence of each lesson and each concept that we are teaching you. So, if a question is asked to write about the primary aim of a business, it is to fulfill people's needs and wants while creating a value to an organization. So, what is the primary aim? Fulfilling people's demands. Demands are the needs and wants while creating a value to the organization. So, in one aspect, they will be fulfilling the demands of the people, and on the other hand, they will create a value for their organization. Other than this, if the question is given, such as to describe or to write or list out the aims of a business, you can write the primary aim. And other than that, you can give five more. Those are to be the market leader, to realize and educate profit for the owners, survival and growth of the business, increase the quality of the goods and services provided, satisfy the changing customer demands. You should know that not every time our demands or our needs and wants are the same. With the time durations, with our different technological advancements, with the global crisis, everything will change our needs and wants. So, because of that, business should be able to satisfy them, and it also should be able to generate employment, and it might have the aims of providing social welfare as well as to cater the economic growth. Now let's walk towards the classification of business. So remember, there are three classifications, that is, every business every business can fall on all these three. I said that every business හැම business එකක්ම මේ classification තුනේ subcategories එකකට හෝ වැටෙනවාමයි. හරිද? මේ තුනෙන්ම එකකට නෙමේ. motive එක යටතේ හැම මේ දෙකෙන් එකකට එන්න පුළුවන්. sect එක යටතේත් මේ දෙකෙන් එකකට එන්න පුළුවන්. nature එක යටතේත් මේ දෙකෙන් එකකට එන්න පුළුවන්. So if I explain it in English, with whatever the business is, based on the motive, it can come to one of these categories. Based on the sector, it can come to one of these categories, and based on the nature of the product, it can come to one of these categories. Okay, so if we talk about the motive of the business, based on the motive or what they try to achieve, there are profit oriented businesses as well as non profit oriented businesses, right? Then if I go to the sector of operation or the ownership, there are businesses that are owned by the public sector or owned by the government, as well as those owned by the private sector. And based on the nature of the products, right, those that are products or those that are goods and those that are services, based on the nature of the product, also we can classify a business. Remember, this is also taken from your textbook. So, if you have not summarized your lessons, go through all our videos. We will be adding the future lessons or the future and try to get a good grade for yourself. So, this is the business classification based on the mode. There are both profit as well as non profit oriented businesses. Profit oriented businesses are businesses with the intention of getting a profit. So, what they want is a profit. They try to generate money and to get a gain for themselves. So, remember, they are self interested. And as I have put in bracket to emphasize, self-interest businesses does not mean that they are selfish. Okay, do not use the word selfish ever in your writing, especially in the business and accounting studies. Right, Putte? They want to get a profit for themselves because they're operating with that objective. Right? And profit does not mean that it is an income. If all your income, right, from all your income, if all the expenses you have incurred is deducted, then only you will get a profit, right? This profit will help you to get towards what you're planning in future. It can be business expansion, it can be to improve your capital, whatever that you plan as an owner is what is being catered by these profit oriented businesses, right? And then let's go for welfare motive or the non-profit oriented businesses. So these businesses have another name. We can use those are welfare motive. They operate to serve the business or to serve the society. From serving or providing their services and goods, they try to serve the society. So rather than targeting profits, they help people improve their business and the society as well. So they try to equally distribute wealth and ensure the equity by the business. For example, if you know the Red Cross, they try to serve the poor and the penalized. So there are some educational institutes who try to serve the kids. So if you realize our effort as a university or a students association, what we try to do is also in a similar manner something that is non-profit but we are not actually a business. We have certain characteristics that try to cater your needs. Being a non-profit oriented one, we try to serve your education purpose because now you are either isolated or quarantined or a person who does not have the access to go to your physical classes, right? Then, based on the sector of operation, as I said before, we have public sector and private sector. Public sector businesses are those that are owned and operated by the government. So it is the people's money or the public funds, our tax money, that will be helping to operate the public sector businesses. Remember, they provide us goods and services either free of charge or for a reasonable price, right? Don't think that they do not charge a price. Not all public services are free of charge. For example, the electricity providing, right? They will charge us a certain amount. But if you look at the health service, it can be a free of charge service provided, right? And let's walk towards the private sector. So these are the organizations or the businesses that are more closer to you, right? Those are owned and operated by a person or a group by putting their own money and their own efforts, right? They can produce goods either for a welfare motive or for a profit. For example, a private school will charge a price to give you education, but if you look at World Vision or else Women in Needs, such organizations will be providing services free of charge. Then, this is an important part of the classification of businesses, that is, businesses based on the nature of the product. So, the businesses, those are producing goods, we call them as commodity manufacturing businesses or goods manufacturing businesses. So, what are commodities or goods? They are tangible and physically existing things, those that can be touched and seen, the visible end products of a business. So, if you see the soap, t shirt, books, the pen you hold, the mobile phone or laptops, but there you can see it, you can touch it. So each commodity of a same batch are equal in size, type and color and are identical. As well as the producer and the commodity are two different things. The person who manufacture it is in the company or the business and the product will be at your house. Clear? So that is what a commodity or a good is about. Those are the characteristics. As well as the businesses that manufacture commodities are said to be establishments which produce the commodity required for the fulfillment of human needs and wants, right? For example, if you take Unilever, they provide Lux soap. If you take Sunville Bakehouse, they will provide cakes and rolls. All these are providing or making a commodity at their business premises. Then we walk towards the service providing businesses. Listen really carefully. This is an area which most try to miss, right? Services means activities or process rendered to a customer or a consumer, given to a consumer by a business to fulfill their needs and wants. If a person is providing a business even as a mediating role, even selling you the finished goods. Now imagine the grocery shop in front of your house. Do they manufacture all the biscuits there? Do they manufacture all the furniture or the maybe different ointments Accessories, are they the ones who are manufacturing? No, Buddhe. They are only the ones who are doing what? The selling purpose. They only send or sell you the requirements by being a mediating role. For example, if I take Maliban or Igam product, the business company or the factory will be the good manufacturing one, not the retail shop, not the food city or the grocery shop right in front of your house that sell it becomes the good manufacturing organization. They only provide you a service. So these businesses are establishments providing intangible activities, fulfilling human needs and wants. For example, if you know the TKH Institute, it will be providing you teaching services. If you know Dialogue Mobitel or any other mobile service, they will be helping you to provide telecommunication services. And remember, services are intangible and invisible. You cannot differentiate the service provider from the service, right? If I'm the one who's providing you the teaching service now, you cannot see me at home or at one place while the teaching is happening on another, except if it is a recorded medium, right? Always the service provider and the service will be one thing, right? I hope it is clear to you. And if you ever come across a question, feel free to leave a comment below so that we can help you. After the knowing or teaching you these categories of business classification, now we walk towards the concept of consumer needs and wants. Consumer needs are the basic requirements that should be fulfilled essentially for existence. Till you live, you should have your basic requirements fulfilled. Right? So they are the basic things need for your survival. As we discussed before, the primary needs of food, clothing, shelter, and your secondary needs of education, health, security, transportation, communication, and entertainment are all needs. These needs has a set of characteristics. So this is a summary of the characteristics. Remember, if you are given a question to write the characteristics, don't write being essential, being common. Write complete sentences such as needs have the characteristic of being essential. They are common to everybody, right? Such way, please write them. I just not needed to give you a summary. That is why I have given you short fractions of sentences with the keywords. So one characteristic is being essential. For example, food, it is really important for you. The second one is being common, whether you are in Sri Lanka, Australia, India, or whatever the country it is, whether you are in a different age group, your needs are common to everybody, regardless of your class or your educational level. And then nobody can create them. Nobody can suddenly create a need, right? So always remember, needs are something that cannot be created, and finally, those are limited. There are only few needs put there, right? Those that I have classified on the former table. These are the set of needs you have. You do not have anything other than that, right? Now we'll walk towards wants. So, what are wants? As discussed earlier, wants are different ways of satisfying needs. So, a single need can be satisfied in different ways, and those ways of satisfying them or the driving forces can be discussed as wants. For example, your food need will be satisfied by rice, hoppers, pasta, cake, pizza, whatever you call it, as long as you could eat and as long as you could fulfill it, it is a want. The same is with the clothes and the entertainment. But there is something that you have to note. That is, businesses are able to produce goods and services and create wants. Right, Putte? A good example is this Apple iPhones and all these Apple products. They try to create a brand, a reputation among you yourselves, especially in the teenagers and the 20 and above people, right? So as long as you feel like you're going to get a good reputation, a good name, a good feeling, you try to buy them. Maybe they do not have all the advanced technology, maybe some other products will be catering the similar needs, but still, as long as it has the Apple logo, the Apple brand, you would try to purchase it. Those are examples for a want that is created. Now let's walk towards the characteristics they have. Like I discussed before in the needs part, here also I have only taken the keywords. Remember, write complete sentences in your examination, right? As long as you write properly, as long as you give your examples properly put there, you can get a good grade. And I think you could definitely make an A grade while you listen to all our videos, because we will be covering everything without missing even a fraction of your lessons, as well as we will be planning to help you to do few of the past papers as well. So stay tuned with us. So, what are the characteristics of wants? Not all wants are essential. For example, for fulfilling your hunger, you can either eat pizza or pasta. As long as it fulfills your hunger, it does not matter what you eat. And then they are being diverse. You might use the purpose of a pen is for writing, but the brand you use can be diverse. For example, it can be Rotamax, Pre-Dried, Atlas, shooty, whatever it is, as long as you feel the brand is proper to you, as long as it is compatible with you, you try to use it. And then they can be created. For example, at present, the Zoom application, whether you were willing to adhere to it or not, with the pandemic, the businesses identified that they had an opportunity, and so the Zoom application was created. So now you have been using it since then, right? Next one is being complex. Put there, what you want is not what your sister or your brother or your parents want. Always our wants are different, diverse, and they're complex. Though you fulfill it today, it won't be guaranteeing that in future you won't get that want. The best example is a mobile phone. Though you buy the latest brand of the mobile phone, if a new one comes, a new one is launched next year, what will happen? You would go to buy that, right? You would never be content with having one want, right? It is something called finally as unlimited. There is no such opportunity to fulfill it at once, right? You will go on consuming it, right? So it's not limited. Then we have to talk about the factors of production. So we were talking about the key concepts, we were differentiating goods and services as well as needs and wants, and now we are going towards the business resources. So if they ask what are the business resources, you have to talk about land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Or else, if they ask directly what are the four factors of production, that is also the land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, kids. So, what is really land? Is it the perch or the acre of land given? In Sinhala, do we call the land as the idama or the bhumiya? No, Putte. This land is all the natural resources in an area. So, all the finite and infinite resources used in production will be consisted of this land category, right? So imagine if it is a bakery and they use flour, which is a natural resource. So then flour is the land factor of that business, right? And then labor are all the mental and physical contribution of the employees. So if your business has an accountant, he won't be doing a physical contribution. You won't find a accountant sweeping the floor. He will be thinking, he will be making accounts, and he will be interpreting or analyzing reports. So then he will be providing a mental service. While Cleaners or the janitors will be providing a physical contribution through cleaning, arranging things, and all. Right? So I hope you understand what land is and what labor is. Land, all the raw materials and natural resources falls for the land category, while all the employee contributions falls for the labor category. Right? So next we're walking towards the capital. Everything given by the owner to the business is capital put there, right? Whether it's the owner's money, vehicle, land, whatever it is being given, it should fall under the capital. I'm saying this, or I'm emphasizing this because when you're going towards your lesson number 4 and starting to do accounts, you should be thoroughly having the idea of what really capital is. Everything contributed by the owner to facilitate the manufacturing or the service providing process is called as the capital. Okay. And finally, the entrepreneurship. So what are entrepreneurship, or what is entrepreneurs? Those people are the risk takers and the people who start and conduct the businesses by combining the factors of production. So, all these three factors above land, labor, capital are combined, managed, and the risk is borne by the entrepreneur. So, if the owner itself is taking the business decisions and bearing the risk, we call him the entrepreneur of the business. But if you have employed a manager to take business risk and conduct the business, then the entrepreneur is the manager, right? So that is about the summary of the factors of production. Now, this part, prior to starting it, I have something to tell you. So, Pute, in here, as the last part of our lesson number 1 is to talk about the stakeholders. So, this lesson number 1 has uh, the area or the part where we have to teach you about the stakeholders. But then once you see the internal environment, the stakeholders in the internal environment and external environment, you will feel that I have covered the part of the lesson number 2 where we talk about the business environment as well. But remember, there is a difference between the stakeholders or the part we are discussing in lesson number 1 and lesson number 2. So remember to understand both clearly so that you won't mess it up at the examination. So stakeholders are not really the shareholders, right? Shareholders are the ones who have provided money. They are similar to the owners of the business. But stakeholders are all the interested parties inside and outside of the business, right? So they are all interested parties. In Sinhala, we call them Almaty Parshava. These interested parties contribute to the business as well as they try to fulfill various objectives they have from the business. So I have summarized the stakeholders into a table, right? Prior to going to the table, this is the table that I have made. We will first discuss how these stakeholders can be uh, explained in a diagram, right? So I'm using this hierarchy. So business organizations have internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders. These internal stakeholders are the ones who are inside the business, the owners, managers, and the employees. They are able to directly affect the business, while external stakeholders are customers, suppliers, competitors, financial institutions, government, community, and future investors. They are outside of the business, but they too can either indirectly affect our business, right? So always remember Putte, whenever you're writing it or if you're taking down a note and I have shifted to the next part, feel free to pause the video, listen it twice and write your note at once so that you will understand every part, right? So then we are coming to the stakeholders, their intention and the contribution. The owners, their intention of the business is to provide resources and to get a profit, right? So how they contribute? They give investments, right? If it is managers, their intention is to take proper decisions and to conduct the business operations. For that, their contribution is by taking decisions and they also motivate the workers. And if we talk about the employees, they are the ones who perform the business task. For example, they can be supervisors and clerical staff. Their contribution is they increase the productivity of the organization and cater the production requirements. Customers are the buyers of the company. They are the ones who buy our products. They will buy the goods, and that is the way they contribute, and also they will comment on our quality. As long as our customers are happy about us, as long as we have delighted them, we will be able to reach our goal and to survive in the business world, right? So these first three are the internal stakeholders and the rest are the external stakeholders. And if I talk about the suppliers, they are the providers of raw materials. They contribute to the business by giving raw materials on time. The financial institutions such as banks, leasing companies, venture capital companies, they provide us funds and consultancy. So their contribution is through giving consultancy and to provide loans so that we can improve the business. If we look at the government, yeah, the government too has a role to play. They make policies and also regulate the business. So their contribution to the business is they collect the taxes, put fines on us when the business misconducts, as well as control the conduct of the business. And then competitors are the ones who provide similar services, right? So there can be people who either imitate our business or do something similar to us. So then what they do is their contribution to our business is they set the benchmarks for quality as well as they determine the market prices. Then the community, the people around the area. They are the population outside the business. They want or they are looking at the business to fulfill their objectives. For example, whether the business is providing them social activities or whether job opportunities are there. All these things will be determined them, found by them, and then they will cater the business. And finally, future investors. Remember, I have used the word future investors. So, if it's really an investor, we could have, if the person has already done the investment, he will become a owner, no? Right? දැනට ඉන්වස්මන්ට් එක කරලා ඉවර නම් යා මේ වෙනකොට අපේ ඕන කෙනෙක් වෙලා ඉන්නේ පුතේ. ඒකයි ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කියන කෙනා වරන් නැත්තේ. ඩිරෙක්ට් ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් එකක් කරපු ගමන් අපි එක්ක එයාට ඕනර්ෂිප් එක දෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් එයා අපිට fund එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා නම් on credit basis, we call him a creditor, right? Other than that, those people planning to invest, investment එකක් අනාගතයේදී කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අය තමයි future investors ලා. They are willing to invest. They have not invested but are willing to do so. So what are their contribution to the business? They will improve the business as well as help to make business decisions. So if they are there, we could make the decisions of advancement or the extension of the businesses, right? So I have only given the intentions and the contributions in a summary because these parts will also be discussed in more brief and a more detailed manner in your lesson number 2. So kids, I hope your lesson number 1 was clear to you by now. So hope you enjoyed learning with us. Stay tuned with us and keep on going on the same track. Study well. Thank you.